So once we have gone through and done a pretty nice job of getting some of the white borders off, it's time to make him smaller and sort of make him blend into this image a little bit more. You can always, if it's not perfect yet, like I can see little spots I want to fix later, we can go back through in the end and take anything off. That's any pixels that are sticking out, we can fix later. So make sure you're working in the layer with the man. We want to use the free transform tool. The transform tool lets you stretch things out going vertically and horizontally. So we can stretch things out this way or this way or both at the same time. If you're not careful, we can flip them in all sorts of ways, but we want to make him just like he was, so I'm not going to accept it. I'm going to click no. If you use the transform or the distort tool and you click the shift key while you hold it down while you're dragging the mouse, it will keep his proportions the same. Let's make him, I try to make him about that height. Looks nice. You can vary it a little bit. And if you kind of watch his feet, you can sort of find spots, especially when you get towards the corner of the post-it note here, I feel like, and you can trust your own eyes as long as it looks good. You can sort of find spots that look like his feet line up a little bit better. So once you kind of like where he's located and his size, you can accept, click yes, confirm, and that's how we can find the right size. Now when we talk about perspective, the camera perspective, think of this like your eyes are looking at him like you are the camera. And when you look at the desk, it kind of looks like the camera is sort of above the desk a little bit, and you can see it. But when you look at the picture of the guy, it's like the camera is shooting from down below. So when you look at something above you, the top, we want to change his perspective so it looks like the camera is on top. So we're going to make his shoulders a little bit wider than his legs. So to do that, we're going to make sure we're still in the correct layer. We're going to use the distort tool. Now the distort tool lets you just freely turn things and bend things in whichever way you want. So we're not going to accept that. And with the distort tool, just like the transform tool, if we hold the shift key, it sort of keeps things, maybe it doesn't. But we want to try to keep things in perspective. So we want to sort of just make his shoulders a little bit wider than the bottom, not too much. If you watch the line on top, if you can keep that straight instead of like this, you can keep that white line straight, it's going to make sure his perspective stays a little bit closer. So just that little teeny bit of making, that might be a little too much, just that little teeny bit of making his shoulders wider kind of makes him blend in a little bit. And just makes it look a little bit more natural. Next, just a little bit on contrast and brightness. And again, we're still working in this top layer, the guy that we added. Now, contrast is the difference between black and white. So if the contrast is small, whites and blacks, or sometimes you talk about the grayscale, the whites and blacks are closer. And if the contrast is bigger, the whites and blacks are further apart. And that's the same on your TV also. So we're going to go to bright adjustment and brightness and contrast, and this is still going to only adjust the top layer. Now these are things you can kind of just mess with until they sort of match. Just me having messed with TV calibration and photos before, it kind of seems like the contrast on the background is a little bit more than the layer with the guy in the suit. So if you can see, you can change this pretty quick. Zero's where it was already. So the contrast is less, but making the blacks blacker. So I'm going to turn, it should be less. I said that incorrectly. So I'm going to kind of mess with just a little, in my mind, just that one or two notches here. You can kind of see it just makes it fit a little bit better. Now, I was on the brightness, not the contrast. Yeah, there it is. The contrast should be, in my mind, maybe you think it looks closer this way, but in my mind, the contrast is just a little bit more than on the guy, or the background, than it is the guy. So mess with turning up the contrast just a little bit till you think it seems to blend in better. And then the brightness, I feel like the guy is just a touch brighter than the background, so we're going to take it down a notch. So messing with the brightness and contrast a little bit goes a long way. Can make it blend in better.